I mean, in particular this one that comes with a plug-and-play dongle, and I'm guessing this is going to be in plug-and-play configuration. So one of the things I do wonder, can we actually use this wirelessly on other devices? Or is this something you can only use with Windows gaming and emulation? But let's do a quick unboxing. Can you just... Wait, I can just rip this or what? Let's see what's going on. It looks like you can just open it like that, but no. Or is this like some kind of a new, different way to seal this thing off? Okay, I tried. Let's get myself this freaking scissor. So let's do a quick unboxing and let's see what's going on. I was really intrigued by this. Is this still worth buying? I'm still using my Xbox 360 controller nowadays on my, let's say, emulation boxes or other devices, particularly when it comes to Windows based. But you know what it is? Finding good original Xbox controllers is going to be a freaking nightmare because most of them are completely like destroyed. They're completely wore out when it comes to the joysticks or everything else. But I was really intrigued by this particular model. Jesus! Whew. But we managed to remove the packaging without damaging the controller. But the first impression is that this thing has like a very nice weight to it. So, but comfortability? Ooh. But first, new controller. You know what I'm going to be doing? Let's sniff it. Nope, failed the sniffing test. Doesn't smell nice. So let's do a little bit of a chit chat while we're getting inside the package. So first of all, we're having the cable. The cable is a very long one, so that is convenient. But it's interesting one. You can actually see that we have this configuration of an extension cord. Okay, that is a new one. That is something kind of cool. You don't see nowadays. You can just plug in your dongle if you want to. And this is actually the dongle itself that is actually just especially for Logitech, so nothing of an Xbox or whatever. So that's going to be plugging into the controller. Moving on to the controller itself, is that this thing already has like a very nice weight to it, but also the configuration. This is weird. You don't see that very often, particularly when it comes to the depth over here. You can put your fingers in there and it is very comfortable. So when it comes to the D-pad, it is kind of small, but it is very satisfying clickish. I mean, the way how this feels, and particularly when it comes to, let's say, the D-pad itself, have like this very nice floating D-pad configuration. At the side we do have a little bit of a rubber over here going on for extra grip. Having just not digital joysticks, just the old school ones. Select or actually like back and start. Vibration can be turned on and off. And of course the buttons. The buttons have like a nice feel to it. A very nice feel. And it seems to have like analog buttons at the back. We can actually remove this over here and they will activate the controller, as you can just actually see over here. But of course, let's remove this over here, what we're going to be finding in the inside. Oh, we do have like Duracell batteries. So what we can actually do, maybe replace them with rechargeable ones. So that would be like a cheaper option. But for now, let's use the Duracell ones. Let's see if we can click it in. Okay, that works quite well. And here we're having the switch, what we're talking about. We also, I think, have like a little bit of a rubber feeling, rubberized at the bottom. So I'm not the biggest fan of this. I'm just going to be honest with you, because it's highly possible after like many years it can get a little bit sticky. But there's something we're going to be finding out later on. But for now, let's plug it in and let's see how plug and play this thing is. But let's do a quick side-by-side comparison with both of the controllers. So first of all, the right one is going to be the wireless version. And the wireless version, when you're going to be looking at the mold, so the mold itself, it's going to be quite similar. If you're going to be holding them, you don't really notice any difference. The first difference I do notice is the weight. I think this has maybe to do a little bit of the batteries on the inside. But this thing does have like a little bit better feeling when it comes to the quality. Another thing he also changed out is interesting that this thing is made out of fully plastic, and this does have like a rubberized situation, where I'm just going to be honest, I am not super glad when it comes to like the rubberized. Another thing I also noticed, like if you're going to be looking very closely, we should make a video out of this, like finding the differences. You can see that this have like a little bit more ergonomic to it. I think that's also to do with the battery compartment. But if you're actually going to be holding it, it's not like a bad thing or a good thing. It's okay, you know, both of them are like really comfortable. The D-pad configuration is the same, and I'm guessing the same goes for the joysticks, or I don't know. Look, I do have the feeling But it can be something of me that there's slightly different kind of joysticks. I mean, in particular when it comes to the form factor. But beside that, also here we do have different sound when it comes in the feel to the button. But and again, that can be me. But beside that, we're going to be looking side by side of them. Well, both are nice controllers. So it's time to power on our gaming kiosk. And let's test it on this device. Aux mode. So one of the reasons I actually purchased this controller is because I wanted to fit it with my gaming kiosk. Because this thing looks absolutely awesome. The color theme is perfectly aligned with the kiosk or emulation gaming kiosk I made. But let's get into it. Let's plug in the dongle and see if this thing is actually going to be working. So that's the first thing we're going to be doing. Let's plug in the dongle. Let's see if it's going to be automatically recognized. Oh, that seems to be working. Oh yeah. Do you know what kind of music it is? Let me know in the comments. Which song is this? So one of the things I already love about this controller is that it's going to be a very easy plug and play solution. The dongle is automatically being recognized by Windows and you can fairly easily plug and play. So one of the things I do wonder, like how will it go if you're going to be booting up some weird games like in Street of Rage remake, because those particular games I'm always struggling to find good working controllers. And that is not going to be a problem at all. So the first thing that we're going to do is checking out how this thing actually responds for just beat 'em up games. And I can tell you the floating D-pad configuration is absolutely amazing. What I find really interesting too is that where the D-pad is a little bit smaller than my typical D-pad controller. Think about an 8-bit, I think it was the M30 if I'm saying it correctly. It's interesting because you can just actually see that where even this thing is tiny, it plays absolutely amazing. And I find the controller really enjoyable. I don't really notice any input lag whatsoever. So Logitech did a great job when it comes for playing some beat 'em up games. But let's switch to some fighting games. But it's also going to be in combination with some emulation. Yeah. So the reason why I just wanted to see how this actually responds into, let's say, a fighting game. Yeah, the D-pad is not disappointing at all. So when it comes for playing games, this controller is going to be absolutely my new favorite one. And also, yeah, emulation. So what I love about the X input, we don't need to set it up because RetroArch automatically detects it that if you have like separate emulators set up to an Xbox controller, we're not going to be any problem whatsoever. I think it's the most wicked Street Fighter fighting game ever made. But about emulation, let's go with something different. Let's go into some old school Pandora style. Yep. And there are a couple of Pandora's boxes do have the option for an X input, like I think the Pandora 10, DX, CX, and also the Pandora Game 3D if I'm recalling it correctly. Maybe a couple of them I completely forgot. But let's plug in the dongle and let's see if that actually works. So in front we're going to be finding the two plugs for the controllers. We're going to be leaving the power in for controller number 1 for the light gun. We're not going to be needing that, so let's plug in this bad boy and let's see if we're going to have something going on over here. With the Pandora's Box 10 we do have an interesting, let's say, stuff going on that we need to hold 3 buttons for a couple of seconds, so actually getting into the setting menu or automatically set it all up. Let's see what's going on over here. Oh, we do have even the option to press. Time for some subby wubby. And yeah, one thing is for sure, I completely messed up the button layout. Yep, I messed it up. But an easy fix was actually going into the digital mode. When I plugged it in into the Pandora's box, it automatically even noticed what kind of controller it was. Super easy, no problem whatsoever there. And that's what actually make this control cool with the switch. So we can switch between the different kind of systems. But I still wanted to check it out if I can have like the digital input, but somehow the left and right buttons are not detected. And that is kind of messed up. So when it comes to configuration, depending on what kind of software you're going to be running, somehow my left and right D-pad cannot be mapped, but I can actually map my joysticks. That is just very, very strange. But what is really interesting is I'm going to be looking into, let's say, games like the GameCube emulator. So this is a little bit of a thing I'm always struggling with. I've been configuring the Xbox 360 controller for the Dolphin emulator, but somehow I can't get the Logitech. Even this thing does have like an input for Xbox 360, it doesn't utilize with the Dolphin emulator. So I'm going to be reconfiguring because I'm going to be using this controller for now, but you know, that's the type of weird stuff that I'm sometimes finding. And do let me know in the comments what would be in fix. Is it just like the Dolphin emulator that's just rubbish, or is this just like an overall problem with the input of the different controller kinds? But if you're going to be moving to the PlayStation 2 emulation with the Windows emulator, what's kind of weird, like where we had like problems with the Dolphin, so I think I'm going to be setting up a different emulator kind or whatever, because man, oh, I freaking hate the Dolphin emulator, because the PlayStation 2 does work perfectly without any problems. So I think that has to do with the emulator itself. So that's a little bit of a bummer if you ask me. But let's get into the game itself and let's have a little bit of an old school fun with some SSX Tricky. We can say that this is a retro, brand new game controller. So I was surprised to see that they're still making these things, but now I get it. This is a very, very comfortable controller. I never realized it myself. So I do wonder how it's going to be in the future with this rubber compound shenanigans. I don't like it at all. They should remove it if you ask me. But yeah, the nice weight to it. It's not too heavy. Got like a rumble vibration motor. The dongle works like plug and play on Windows and also even on some of those emulation thingies. Nevertheless, I think it's a very nice, comfortable controller. Is it going to be in, let's say, in the best out there? At the moment, I'm going to be using this as my main on the retro gaming kiosk. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Would you consider buying something like this, or do you sticking with other brands like Abedo or whatever they released? Thank you all for watching, and it will be great to see you in the next video.